and welcome to another edition of Thought Leaders Live, where we talk with thought leaders in business, life, and all points in between. Today, very excited. We're going to be talking with Justin Rowe, founder and CEO of Impactable, the world's largest B2B LinkedIn ads agency, where he leads a team of 70 plus marketers. They help B2B brands turn thought leadership into measurable pipeline by blending organic content with paid distribution. And I've been following Justin for a long time and learned a lot from him. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg. And I've seen you around LinkedIn for quite some time as well. So happy to be here.
Great. Well, why don't we start it out? Give us a little bit of background about yourself personally, and obviously tell us about your agency.
So the quick cliff notes is I actually came from the restaurant industry. I feel like I'm a very down to earth, normal human being. But I came from restaurants. I discovered LinkedIn out of kind of a necessity to look for additional opportunities. My strange approach at the time was to send a bunch of connection requests and build my network of people that I thought could have opportunities. It landed me a ton of interviews and job opportunities. It actually accidentally connected me with investors that led to me becoming part owner of a small Potbelly sandwich shop franchise. And that's kind of when it clicked in my mind, the power of LinkedIn to connect, to kind of position yourself as an expert. From there, I kind of created a side hustle, a LinkedIn lead generation side hustle, which helped pay for my firstborn's baby clothes and things like that. And then that turned into a full-blown agency where we were servicing 200 clients at one point before we went through an acquisition. And I did a majority sell. I stayed on as minority owner and CEO to continue to grow and scale and pivot from lead gen into the ad side. And now we've kind of established ourselves on the scene as the largest LinkedIn ads agency with 150 plus active LinkedIn ads clients currently, and an actual legitimate partnership with LinkedIn now, which still blows my mind that we have an agency partnership with LinkedIn. When originally on my lead gen agency, they sent me a cease and desist and confiscated my company page. So kind of come a full circle here. And like I said, I came from restaurants. I approach marketing like a newborn baby a lot of times. What is this? Why do we do this? Is there a better way? And so because I didn't come from marketing, I feel like I have unique takes on some of this, which then leads to people thinking like I have some innovative approach, but sometimes it's an immature or just me not knowing like what I was supposed to be doing, where I stumble onto some of these truths that now seem obvious, but it's kind of how I got to where I'm at right now.
Well, you didn't have any bias coming in, right? You didn't have, all you had was the restaurant bias,
Yeah.
but you didn't have anything else to kind of steer you elsewhere. I think what's interesting too, what I really like about you is you're far more than, at first glance, an ads guy. I mean, I don't even really think of you. I think of you like that, but it's this blend of the organic that I've seen you produce so much organic, and that's more my strength, and where Windbound has come from is a lot of producing that great quality content and then using distribution to get it out there. But let's just talk a little bit about, before we get into that framework of the organic and the paid, let's talk a little bit about thought leadership content and why distribution is so important as you generate it.
Yeah. So I guess I relate it back to the early story of the restaurants. Like I discovered really early the power of thought leadership and I stumbled into it. Like I was looking for opportunity and I started just posting about my journey. And at the time I was a restaurant operator, training other restaurant general managers and things like that. And I just started posting about my experience. And quickly I became a visible player in the restaurant industry in my city on LinkedIn. And this weird thing clicked for me when opportunities came. Investors started reaching out because they came to LinkedIn looking for operating partners, and I was the most visible. And it clicked in my mind how easy, how hard that I thought that would be, or impossible, but how easy it actually was. Because in reality, there was not a single other restaurant operator trying to dominate my city on LinkedIn. And it's the same for many of these other small pockets. Sure, if you approach it dominating all of LinkedIn for a specific topic, not possible. Dominating even like, a country or like, but if you think about like that, it's these small ponds, like, yeah, there's not really anyone trying to dominate this specific city on this specific topic on this specific platform. And there's a lot of power in just doing that and intentionally growing this small pond of like influence and the opportunities that came from that. So early on, that's when I latched onto the idea of not trying to be a thought leader on some big stage, but trying to intentionally grow a small targeted network and being considered a thought leader to that pocket of people, and then strategically trying to widen that, and how many opportunities came from that. And that's why my thought process around organic came, and then my thoughts on paid ads kind of just stemmed from that, as far as not thinking of paid ads as some separate crazy strategy, but like ways to amplify the organic success that I was experiencing. And hey, yeah, if I could actually use digital to say, if they visited my website, I want to guarantee distribution of my 10 to 15 best assets to that person or that group to continue the story and build trust and be seen as a thought leader in that space. Like, that was pretty powerful concepts for me.
Let me pause here before we get to the framework. And I have to ask everybody who comes on the show, give me your definition of thought leadership.
Yeah, I don't always love the term because I feel like it could sound either nebulous, like what does it mean, or it might seem like, you think so highly of yourself that you're a thought leader on this subject. And I don't necessarily categorize myself as a thought leader on B2B ads or maybe LinkedIn ads. But I would say that my definition would be someone who has a strong point of view, is seen as a subject matter expert, and I guess, yeah, to some degree is saying and doing things that pivots away from maybe the normal and creates then kind of a draw and a following. And the power of that then being, if they believe in the way that you approach like your specific niche, then they have to choose eventually, like if and when they do have a need, they would choose you as like the person to help them. Because it's not just that I turn them on to LinkedIn ads and the power of LinkedIn ads. My specific philosophy and approach is different and unique in a way that if and when they do want to go to LinkedIn ads, they gravitate towards partnership or consultation or something like that. So I think it's those elements I would kind of classify that as.
Well, let's get into your specific pivot or how you do things a little bit differently. And I'm assuming it's going to tie into the practical framework, the blending of the organic and the paid.
Yeah, I think so. So my approach that has kind of turned into this framework is a couple of things. The first is that like it's all connected. I firmly believe that there cannot be some like disconnected siloed movement. So I do think like paid and organic is often seen as like, okay, we have organic, and weirdly enough, I've realized that social media posting and organic content is often seen as like this other category, and that a lot of times it'll be like checklist, like, okay, we need content produced, but then it produces like this fluffy. So my whole philosophy around that is to first be clear about who you are and who you can best help and what the competitive landscape is, because it's not enough to like say, I want to create awareness for LinkedIn ads and I want to be seen as a LinkedIn ad subject matter expert. I also need to know how I'm different than the other 8 competitors I have, because it's those differences that I really need to lean on for like core content pillars. And because again, like it's one thing to create demand for or interest in like a category like LinkedIn ads and be like, oh, I made the light bulb go off and they now believe the power of LinkedIn ads. But then they go into research mode and they find me and 5 other competitors, like, because I didn't turn them onto LinkedIn ads with my specific point of view, I've opened the door for competitors to kind of capture the demand or interest that I've created. So I do think starting with a unique point of view and a philosophy and understanding your competitor landscape is really important. And then yeah, get that content out there, organic testing. And I love posting organically, because the other thing I guess it gave me was feedback, real-time feedback on what kind of posts, writing style, topics, like what people actually find valuable. And that's really expensive to do with ads. So ideally, you would figure that out before you spend a lot of money pushing messaging through paid channels. That's really expensive market research when you could be connecting with your target demographic, posting organically, learning and pivoting more fluidly. Yes, it takes time, but that's like less dollars. And a lot of times in the startup journey, like you have more time than marketing budget at first until you get to a certain scale. And then you need to start shifting away from time to things that scale and distribute better. But that idea of latching onto my core content pillars, creating organic content around those, specifically around my unique value proposition as well. And then I would amplify what works with LinkedIn ads. And the thought leader ads is a great tie in because you can actually just, instead of just learning from the messaging and then creating ads, you can just sponsor those exact posts and they come with already the likes and comments and shares. And that social proof is amazing. So that organic plus paid is a huge part of it. And then I tie in the other channels. Like one of my favorite is still paid search and SEO. Like I still think that's foundational. And paid search is like in market traffic. There's people actually searching for exactly what you do and sell. So while I do love the power of like LinkedIn organic plus LinkedIn paid, the truth is like it's not guaranteed. You're not usually working with signals of people in market. So the buyer journey can be really long. People follow me for 3 years before they finally buy because, you know, there's not in market. But paid search, there's people searching specifically for software and vendors. So then when you pair paid search traffic coming into your website and then you qualify and retarget them with LinkedIn retargeting ads, thought leader ads that were proven organically, that trio becomes a mix. I would say that's my most powerful combo. Organic LinkedIn, paid LinkedIn, and paid search traffic make this pretty amazing trio. And then yes, I have like plays and flows that go from there, but I would say that's a lot of the nucleus of it.
Let's talk a little bit about that organic mill of content that you're always producing. I mean, I'm always amazed at how prolific you and JD and your whole team are and how much stuff you're producing. I mean, can you take us behind the curtain a little bit and just how much new stuff are you producing? And is it with that idea of like, look, let's find the winner and we're gonna boost this again?
Yeah, I would say it goes in waves, and I've gone through peaks where I need to recenter myself, or I feel like I've either getting burnout or I go in the wrong direction. So there is a lot of volume that I produce, and that's, you know, I believe that you really need a mix. Like, yes, I believe quality over volume, but I also believe like there's a lot of power. Like, so because I came from the lead gen side, like I do understand, like, you know, that sometimes it can feel like it's a numbers game, and to some degree, like the more output you can have, like the better. But then, yeah, if you can center it and have a strategy. So mine, what I try to do is I try to establish some content pillars. So for me, I really want to be seen as someone who understands and talks about the changes in LinkedIn, and be someone that even experienced LinkedIn advertisers could look to tell them what's new, what they should try, what they should stay away from. So I talk a lot about that. I also talk about like, I guess, trust building factors. I need people to understand, or I want people to understand why they can listen to me. And yes, I can show them the expertise and hopefully that latches on. But then I feel like they also need reminders of like, you know, why they can trust me. So some of the stuff I really try to do as much as possible is guest spots on podcasts, um, uh, reports, collaboration content, because that third party validation is huge. And that's one of my pillars. Like I actively seek out and am receptive to like collaborative content, because it's one thing for me to come on and say like, hey guys, I'm a LinkedIn ads expert and I can help you. It's quite another when someone's respected and says, hey, this guy is a LinkedIn ads expert, you should listen to him. That carries a lot more weight. And so yeah, I actively seek that out. And then I really believe that part of organic like has to humanize you. So I really try to like have a healthy mix of like my personal style coming out. Even like I've just posted about me running in the woods, like trying to you know, show myself as a human. Because the one thing I realized too, after talking with hundreds of CEOs, founders, like they're all normal people with kids and families and problems. And yeah, I talked to a couple of our clients about how I'm going to go to Great Wolf Lodge with the kids next week, and they all have various reactions about like, no, I would never. That's like the nastiest. And another dad is like, well, it's not the greatest, but we do what we do for the kids, and they're going to love it. And so like those are the things that like it connects you on a different level. Like obviously you can't just post that because then people won't see you as an expert, but it's about having a healthy mix of expertise, third party validation, that humanity. And what I do to try to keep myself consistent is I have an internal call scheduled, usually weekly or biweekly, with someone on my team, where we're going to like have a recording session. Usually the topics are either we think about them ahead of time, or also if something comes up, like we can hijack that. But put something on your calendar, either weekly, bi-weekly, hold yourself accountable to just like have that recording. And then that becomes like a good kind of engine, because otherwise like it is hard just to say, I'm going to post X times a week and I'm going to like find time to post that. You kind of need to structure when you're going to do that and how you're going to do that, because the planning and I guess the scheduling like is one of the things that just lead people to not be consistent. And consistency is one of the biggest things you can do, I guess.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You mentioned those three things, the expertise, the third party validation, and then the personal touch. That actually mirrors my personal schedule. I'm like shooting for 3 chunks of content: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I follow that exact thing. My expertise is Monday, the third party validation is Wednesday, and then personal is Friday, and that's fun stuff. And that always probably outperforms all my other stuff, just because I feature my wife in it, and she's much more interesting than I am. Let me ask you something. I thought you brought up a very interesting point earlier, where you were talking about letting people know about new developments on LinkedIn and sharing your insights there. I find myself, this is a trap I find myself getting into, and thinking like I should be sharing insights about why you should be doing what I'm selling, and maybe not enough explaining how to do it and share my expertise. Can you kind of talk about that little nuance and why that might be important?
Yeah, there was an eye-opening moment I had early on when I was still just freelancing. I came across this company called BAMF, BAMF, and it was like badass marketing something. I don't think there was a swear word at the end, but it was like I'm trying to think of
I
that.
was thinking.
But like one of the things they did was they created this blueprint, and this was like a 40-page document that specifically outlined the exact process that they do for clients that people pay them, $5,000 a month to do, and they put it out there. And I was just starting out. I read that this document was the basis of what I then used as my operating system to launch a lead gen agency that eventually was acquired. So like this document they put out was so valuable. And I remember like them at one point I had a conversation with them, like after I got a little bigger and I was actually on the radar. And I asked them about that. I was like, how could you like put that out? Like, I mean, that was crazy. And they said that was their single biggest, like hands down lead gen revenue driver of all time. And they would do it again, like in a heartbeat. And it really got me thinking, like a lot of times, yeah, like would you would you create a blueprint of exactly what you do for clients and put that out there? And most people I talk to, like at first they're like, that's really risky because they just do it themselves, why would they need me? But then yeah, a moment of clarity comes and you say, the best clients you have, like they don't have the time to execute this, but they'll see that and they'll say, damn, like you're the expert, please do exactly this for me. Or they'll think they have the time, they'll realize it's more complex than they thought. And so I really took that to heart. And yeah, I actually do lean into like, I call it, give the whole damn playbook away as part of like one of my strategies. And I really do think like, yeah, that I could go into all the benefits of like, yeah, why you should be running LinkedIn ads, why you should, but a lot of times like it's, yeah, if selling them on the idea of LinkedIn ads is one thing. And I do think that's like valuable, but then, yeah, if you're going to do this, this is exactly how I'd get started. Here's the 10-step like audit checklist. Here's exactly how you should do the targeting. And then, yeah, the only risk is like there might be some tiny group of people who maybe would have like paid us to do it, but now we gave them the tools to do it in-house. But like it's like 95% upside because that becomes like what cements it in their mind that you're the expert. And a lot of my content is very tactical for that reason, because that lesson has stayed with me for all these years.
Well, thank you so much for adopting that philosophy because, we rip you off daily. And right now I've got a team in the other room, like write down what Justin says and we're going to, implement tomorrow. But no, it is amazing. You get very specific with your content and share your blueprint. I follow a guy also named Andy Crestodina who does the same thing. He's like, no fear about like, why wouldn't I share this? It shows your expertise and shows you know what you're talking about. Let's talk a little bit about common mistakes, Justin, that you see a lot. I'm sure you see a lot in the plays that actually don't, and compare that with the actual plays that do work.
So yeah, I would say some of the things that I see that like don't work is a lot of times, and I keep harping on it. Like I feel like I say the same things over and over, but it was also I need to keep reminding myself, because as someone who posts a lot, and you probably run into this, like should I post again about this? I posted about this a million times, and there's this quote that keeps coming back, and it was like, if you want to burn out as a content creator, like beat yourself over the head trying to figure out 100 clever things to say, or if you want to be successful, find 100 ways to say the same 3 or 5 things, like 100 different ways. And I do think there's a lot of value in that, because I say the same things over and over, and yet like it's still true, and it still becomes some of the biggest misses. So one of them is like these channels that are viewed separately, and I find mature companies, like some of them are series B, series C funded, and they're making a mistake of saying, okay, I have Google ads running over here, and I'm going to run LinkedIn ads, and this is a net new experiment to an isolated landing page that is like completely cut off from everything else. And but the alarm bells like go off in my head, because like to me, the single greatest superpower of LinkedIn is that the insight tag can be installed on your website, can see all of your traffic, which means it can see your in-market Google traffic. And the biggest flaw about Google traffic is you can't qualify it, but LinkedIn can see that traffic, layer qualifying filters on top of it, and specifically only retarget the ICP fit warm traffic who came in with in-market like search terms. Like that is ridiculously powerful. So I still think that's one of the big things, is like isolating. And it's the same with organic and paid. I see people, they're like, okay, yeah, with paid LinkedIn ads, we need to figure out who we're targeting, what their pain points are, what we want to say to them, what we want them to do like down the road. And then organic, it's like, yeah, get the intern to like make some checklists and do some like basic stuff they find on Google and AI. And it's like, why are those two different strategies? Like you're just setting yourself up for failure. But it's because like, I guess like more and more I've seen the mentality of like, we just need to do the things that the big players are doing. They're posting organically, they're running ads, they're running Google. And it's like, as even like smart founders and CEOs, like they just think that if they mirror and mimic the things others are doing, that they'll get to success. But everything in me, that all the evidence points to like, you need to figure out what works for you, and all of your elements need to work together if you're going to compete with the big dogs, because you don't have their budget. So you need to do it differently, and you need to do it more efficiently and make the most use out of your data. Otherwise, yeah, you can't win the same game they're playing that way.
It's great advice. I love that. Let's we're getting close to the end of the show here, but I want to talk a little bit about the role of the CEO, the executive, the founder. You're the CEO and you're out there. You see the value of this. Tell me your thoughts on the CEO or the executive being the thought leader for the company and why it's valuable.
I think it's pretty powerful. I do think in some cases the CMO could be that person, and in some tech companies the CTO could be that person up front. But one of the things is like, so the prospects, part of your brand, I guess, like I use this term humanizing the brand, because to me, like one of the mental barriers of someone saying, okay, impactable, or Windbound is like someone I'm thinking of for this solution. But like, I don't know who they are. I don't know what my experience is going to be like on the other side. I don't know what kind of like people and humans I'm going to be working with. So like, and I guess aligning on philosophy. And I guess, you know, it's hard to prove in the data, but I feel in my soul that one of the things that the reason my organic presence has successfully brought in business and translated into revenue for the company is that like the content allows people to understand not just like what we do and what we sell and what the value of it that is, but our underlying philosophy. And if they agree with my underlying philosophy, like it gives them a lot of hope and confidence that that we're going to be good long-term partners. Because I guess that's a big part of the risk is like, okay, like you're a good solution for me today, but everyone's looking for something that like, you know, as I grow, because all these companies like they don't buy into marketing services to stay exactly where they're at. They're on a journey, and in their mind, we're always overly optimistic, maybe that we're going to grow and scale and at this rate. And I need someone that can grow with me. So if I'm partnering with someone who shares similar ideology about growth, demand gen, inbound, then I know we'll be making progress together versus I just have a static solution and then I might quickly outgrow them. And so I think like the humanizing the brand, kind of giving them idea of who they're going to work with. And that's why I also like really love the idea of exposing people to my team. So I love that JD is posting. We have more team members who are starting to post because yeah, I honestly I want to redo some of our campaigns so that if they book a call with us or if they take like a high intent action, I would actually love a campaign that just exposes them to like people they might be working with, their account manager, coordinator, our top channel experts, because I want them to feel like they already know like who's on the other side waiting for them once they sign the contract versus it be this like, yeah, this huge wall. And it's like, I see Justin's content and then who knows, you know, what the rest of the team looks like, but at least like if they know my philosophy, then that's a huge window. And I guess the other part is when they book the call, if they come in and they've been exposed to all this founder content, like I feel like they're already 60% sold. It's not like,
Yeah.
you know, they're sold and they want to know if this could work specifically for them. So they have a lot of questions around that. But they already agree that like that we're experts in our space, that we share a similar philosophy, and that like that we can probably help them. And then yeah, it's other questions. So I feel like that's part of why it's so powerful.
Let me ask you about what it means to have you active on LinkedIn, sharing your content, sharing who Justin Rowe is personally from a culture standpoint and potentially even a recruiting or retention standpoint for your company.
Yeah. It's actually been really good. A couple of times, like we've had employees that apply and then they'll say things like, I've been following Justin for like a year and a half, and they're like excited to apply because they actually like you know, have someone that they're kind of looking up to that in their mind they're excited to work for. And so I kind of like I keep coming back to this, like I really think in the staffing and recruiting, like if you're trying to attract great talent, it's the same with like kind of like demand gen. Like you should be able to show like just like prospects, but like potential new hires, like how you're different, and they should be able to see like more of the humanization of the leadership or the founder in that startup, because that makes a big difference, because the best talent has options too. And so if they have a face and a personality and someone they're like actually excited to work with versus, hey, it's company B who's going to pay me, you know, $5,000 more, benefits are the same, like it's a competitive advantage on the hiring playing field to have a visible leader with a visible point of view who's out there and attracting like-minded. You also start to attract the talent that is more in line with your culture because you're putting your culture and thoughts on display. So I found that to be, and those are some of our best hires that come in. And like one guy, he cold emailed us and said, I've consumed every YouTube video you have. I understand your marketing strategy. I could do this, this, and this for you. Like we hired that guy as one of our first campaign specialists on LinkedIn. And now he runs the LinkedIn ads division, overseeing 15 other campaigns specialists 2 years later. But like he came in through that, and the content was a huge part of that.
Boy, I mean, that just sums it up right there. Great stories, great data. Really appreciate great framework. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on the show, Justin, and sharing all this with you. And look forward to more incredible stuff from you and JD and the whole team at Impactable. So thanks again. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, wants to work with Impactable, how should they do it?
You can find me, Justin Rowe, on LinkedIn. You can look at impactable.com. You can see our services there. And then also check out our YouTube channel, Impactable YouTube. There's about 400 videos. It's a good resource of how to. So kind of like I said, giving the whole playbook away. There's a starter 101 playlist that will just walk you through creating an ad account, creating your first campaign, creating targeting. It's all there. So you can look it up in those main areas.
Starter playlist, create that, guys. Did you get that one? We're going to get working on that right away.
I'm good.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate it.